Hello, and welcome to Just Say It, the podcast that turns beginners into confident English speakers. Each episode brings you real-life conversations, repeat after me practice, and fun cultural tips. Ready to speak up? Let's dive in.
Have you ever just opened your phone for 1 minute and then suddenly you look up and 10 minutes, maybe even an hour, has just vanished?
Oh, absolutely. Or, you promise yourself you're finally going to sit down and do that English practice.
Right.
And then somehow you find yourself doing pretty much the opposite.
Exactly. And that feeling, that sort of internal sigh of, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
It feels really familiar to a lot of people, I think.
It's such a universal thing, isn't it? That frustration, sometimes even a bit of quiet guilt. It can be incredibly demotivating. It's like that little voice that whispers, don't try, you'll just mess up, or I'm just not cut out for this.
Yeah, and that can hold you back, not just with something like learning English, but, well, in so many areas where you really want to grow. And that's exactly why we wanted to do this deep dive, because it's not really about willpower or, beating yourself up for being lazy.
Not at all.
It's more about understanding and then, gently rewiring your brain to break those patterns that aren't helping you and hopefully foster some real sustainable growth.
Yeah.
So our mission for you today is really to leave this feeling empowered, armed with some, practical strategies and maybe a new mindset to turn those old loops into pathways for growth personally and, for your English too.
Think of it as getting the inside track on the psychology behind our choices. We're pulling from some really insightful stuff here, discussions on confidence, habits, how our brains work, basically giving you the knowledge to apply right away.
Okay, so let's dig in. Bad habits.
They're sneaky, right? They don't exactly send an announcement.
No, definitely not. They sort of creep in quietly, almost invisibly sometimes.
Like you said, maybe it's that one social media reel that seems harmless.
And then suddenly it's 10 or 20. Yeah. Or think about a tiny leak in a bucket. Doesn't seem like much at first.
But over time, it empties the whole thing. It's never one big decision, is it? It's always a series of these small, almost unnoticed choices. And what's really fascinating when you look at the neuroscience behind it is our brains are wired for efficiency. They love comfort. They love shortcuts.
Makes sense. Less effort.
Exactly. And habits are basically the brain's ultimate shortcuts to comfort, or, what it perceives as comfort, even if it's not actually good for us long term. The brain literally uses less energy on habitual actions.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So once it's a habit, it's like it goes on autopilot.
Precisely. It becomes automatic, which frees up your thinking power for other things. But that efficiency is exactly why they're so hard to break without, a conscious plan.
Right. It's like the brain says, I got this, no need to think. And I love this metaphor you mentioned earlier, the brain having favorite walking paths or trails.
It's a great way to visualize it. The more you follow a certain pattern, maybe it's biting your nails, maybe it's that doom scrolling or skipping your English shadowing.
Yeah.
The deeper and more automatic that specific neural trail becomes. It gets really well worn.
So it's harder to get out of that rut, not because you're weak, but just because the path is already there, paved and easy to follow.
Exactly. The trail is already built. So the key thing to understand is to change. We don't just fight the old trail. We need to actively start building new trails, carving out new, better patterns for our brain.
Gently training it to prefer a different route.
A more nourishing path. Yeah.
Okay, building new trails instead of just fighting the old. That really reframes it. But I bet a lot of listeners are still thinking, okay, but surely the first step is just stopping the bad habit. Why doesn't that usually work?
That's such a key question. Because you're right, our first instinct is often just to stop, just, grit your teeth and resist.
Right.
But the problem with simply trying to delete a habit is that the brain really, really hates a vacuum. It hates empty space.
Wrong.
If you don't give it a new option, something else to do instead, it almost always defaults back to the old, comfortable, well-worn path. It needs a replacement behavior.
So it's not just don't do X, it has to be do Y instead of X.
Right. That's the real secret, basically. Replace, don't just remove. Substitute the old habit with something nourishing, something that actually moves you towards your goals.
Okay, so practically speaking,
Yeah.
instead of just saying, I won't check Instagram after dinner.
You reframe it. You say, okay, after dinner, I'm going to listen to 3 minutes of an English Leap podcast.
Yeah.
Or, whatever your positive replacement is.
That small shift gives the brain something concrete to latch onto. A positive instruction, not just a negative one.
Exactly. A new trail to start building.
And we could even make this super practical with micro tips. Like for English learners listening, here's one. That moment your hand automatically reaches for your phone. Pause.
Just for a second.
Yeah, just pause. And instead of opening that usual app, maybe record a quick, 10-second voice note in English. Just talking about anything.
You don't even have to send it to anyone, right?
No, not at all. The act itself is the point. It breaks that old pattern, just for a moment, and starts wiring in a new positive one linked to your English goal. It's how you gently, but really powerfully start that rewiring process.
And this ties perfectly into another crucial element, which is timing. There's this small but really powerful window right before a habit usually kicks in. Often it's only about maybe 5 minutes.
That's 5 minutes. That specific. Why is that little window so, golden? What's happening then?
Well, think of it as the moment between the initial urge popping up and the habit becoming fully automatic. It's when your conscious brain, the prefrontal cortex,
The decision-making part.
right, that part still has a chance to intervene before the autopilot, the habit part, completely takes over. It's like a little pause button before the train leaves the station.
Okay, I like that.
I sometimes think of it like you don't need to stop a whole storm. You just need to shut the window before the wind really starts blowing in. That pause, that tiny gap, that's where your awareness lives.
So when you feel that urge starting to creep in,
That's the moment. Consciously reach for something else, your replacement habit, before that old loop completes itself.
that makes so much sense because I know for me, once I'm 5 minutes into scrolling,
Yeah.
it feels way harder to stop.
Yeah.
It's like I'm already on the train.
Exactly. You're already rolling down that familiar track, and catching it early in that pause, it also helps combat that feeling of emotional numbness you can get from constant digital noise.
Yeah, that overstimulation.
It gives you a little space to actually feel something again, to notice what's around you instead of just chasing the next distraction. It's a little moment of mindfulness, really.
Okay, another micro tip then, maybe specifically for English learners. Let's say after work, you always feel that pull to just scroll endlessly.
Yeah, that slump time.
Right. Try this. Say out loud just to yourself, okay, just 5 minutes, I'll stop after that. And then immediately press play on, say, any English deep dive or a short news clip in English. Something easy.
Low pressure.
Totally low pressure. But it plants a seed. And here's the interesting thing, right? Often, you actually won't stop after 5 minutes.
Momentum.
Exactly. Momentum works both ways. Just getting started, even for that tiny bit, can shift your energy, and you might find yourself listening or practicing for much longer.
And when you do manage that, when you make that small positive choice, noticing it and celebrating it is so important. Which brings us to this idea of focusing on progress, not, perfection.
Oh, this is a big one. So many people, myself included sometimes, you miss one day and you think, well, I blew it. Might as well just quit.
Right. But think about building, say, a big wall. You don't stress about finishing the whole blueprint in one day.
No, you just lay one brick.
You just lay one brick today. That's it. It might not look like much on its own, but day after day, week after week, you're building something real, something substantial.
So celebrate the streaks, not the slips.
Absolutely. If you're learning English and you practice shadowing for 3 days straight, but then you forgot on the 4th day, don't beat yourself up about that 4th day.
Focus on the 3 you did.
Focus on the 3 days you did show up. That's genuine progress. And affirm it. Even just saying to yourself or writing down, I did it today, that's enough.
Make it your phone wallpaper, maybe?
Hey, whatever works. It's about rewiring your relationship with consistency, building that self-trust brick by brick.
Okay, and then there's the flip side, guilt. Guilt feels heavy, like carrying a wet blanket around.
Yeah, it really does. It slows you down, drains your energy, keeps you stuck.
So how do we shift that? Instead of, I failed again. What's the alternative?
Try shifting to just a gentle inquiry. Like, okay, that old habit popped up again. I wonder why. What was going on for me right then?
But isn't that why sometimes really hard to figure out, especially when you're feeling bad?
It can be, absolutely. And that's why it's a gentle inquiry, not like an interrogation. You're not putting yourself on trial. It's more about cultivating curiosity instead of self-blame. The immediate why might be fuzzy. Maybe you were tired, stressed, bored, whatever. But just the act of asking creates a little bit of distance, a space where judgment doesn't automatically rush in.
So awareness instead of judgment.
Precisely. Guilt judges. Awareness just notices. So when you feel like you slipped up, instead of thinking, I'm so bad at this, try thinking, okay, I'm noticing a pattern here. And noticing means I'm actually learning.
That feels kinder.
It's a kind and actually really powerful reframe. Learning anything worthwhile, definitely including English, involves falling down sometimes, getting back up, understanding the process. That's where the real strength comes from.
Okay, this feels like it leads into maybe the deepest level of change, the thing that underpins it all, identity.
Yes, this is huge. Habits don't just spring out of nowhere or purely from motivation. They grow from what we sometimes call identity soil.
Identity soil.
Yeah. Basically, what you fundamentally believe about yourself tends to become your behavior. It shapes your actions almost automatically.
So saying, I want to stop procrastinating, isn't as powerful as shifting the underlying belief.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on stopping the negative, you cultivate the positive identity. So not, I want to stop procrastinating, but maybe I'm becoming the kind of person who shows up even when it's difficult.
Okay, planting a different root.
You got it. And for an English learner, this is so relevant. Don't just say, I want to speak better English. Start cultivating the identity. I am the kind of person who practices English consistently, even when I'm tired or don't feel like it.
Wow, that feels different. You're not just chasing a skill anymore.
You're embodying a mindset. You're becoming that person. And when your identity shifts, your actions tend to follow more naturally. And repeated actions, well, that's how your life actually changes. It creates this positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it feels less like forcing yourself and more like aligning with who you're becoming. And speaking of forcing things, we rely way too much on motivation, don't we?
Oh, totally. Motivation is famously fickle. It comes and goes like the weather.
So what do we need instead? Discipline.
Discipline is a better bet, yeah. It's simply the ability to act according to your goals, even when you don't feel like it. Your goals need to be in the driver's seat.
And your feelings are just passengers.
Your feelings are just passengers, exactly. They can come along for the ride, but they don't get to grab the steering wheel. Because, they'll just drive you wherever they feel like going in that moment.
Often straight back to the old habits.
Usually, yeah. Discipline is building that muscle of showing up regardless.
And showing up is easier, I guess, when your environment supports you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to build new habits if everything around you is pulling you back.
Oh, environment plays a massive role. It's incredibly hard to feel confident or make positive changes if you're constantly surrounded by negativity or people who maybe unintentionally undermine your efforts.
Yeah, the complainers, the doubters.
Right. But flip that if you actively curate your environment, fill it with positive, supportive people, maybe join a community, their energy genuinely lifts you up.
So for English learners, that could be joining an English-speaking club or an online group.
Exactly. Somewhere you feel safe to try, to make mistakes. And it's also about strategically reducing negativity, maybe limiting time with draining people or, doom scrolling feeds. It's like creating a little greenhouse for your new habits and your new identity to actually grow.
It all comes back to being intentional, doesn't it? And just remembering, like you said, it's not about some overnight transformation.
Not at all. It's about that 1% better idea, getting just slightly better, making one small positive choice each day.
Because those small steps, they don't seem like much at first.
But they compound, they build on each other, they grow into really significant life-changing results over time. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, right?
You have to lean into that slight discomfort. That's where the good stuff happens.
So just to kind of wrap up the gist of our deep dive today, breaking those old habits, rewiring your brain, it's really a gentle, strategic process. It's about understanding your brain's love for those loops, focusing on replacing habits, not just removing them, and really leveraging that crucial 5-minute window of awareness.
And being kind to yourself throughout the process.
Yeah.
Tracking progress, not perfection. Turning guilt into just curious awareness.
Yes. And fundamentally shifting your identity towards the person you want to be, choosing a supportive environment to help nurture all of that.
A whole package.
It really is. And remember, confidence isn't some magical gift, is it? It's built. Step by small, intentional step. That space you create when you gently break an old pattern, it's not empty. It's actually fertile ground.
Fertile ground for new growth. Maybe some genuine joy, deep self-trust.
Exactly. For all of that to take root.
You really are more capable than you probably think. And every single small, intentional step you take today, it's a powerful act. You're literally rewiring your brain for the person you aspire to become, building a new future, one positive choice at a time.
So the question to leave you with is, what's one confident step, however small, you'll take today to begin that rewiring?
Fluency. If you found this lesson helpful, click the bell to never miss an episode and leave a comment sharing your favorite tip. Until next time, keep practicing and just say it.